Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to Centers for Spiritual Living Greater Boston. I'm Reverend Gina, and I am blessed to be here this morning. We have an international day. We are all over the world today. We are coming to you from, I'm actually in Rhode Island at the moment, and we have our beloved Reverend Laura Topper, who is here today, and she's in the UK. And of course, our practitioner, the beautiful and always wonderful Sonia Hart, who is going to be doing our invocation first, and she's from Barbados. So we are literally all over the world today in this oneness. So welcome to our Sunday celebration. It is a wonderful topic. You know, what's better than power and possibility? And, we are here, just so you know a little bit about us if you're new. We are a teaching of science of mind, which means that we take philosophy, religion, and science, and we culminate it in one wonderful message. It is empowering, it is uplifting, it is knowing who and whose we are. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We are going to talk about the principles, the teachings, the love, all that goes along with science of mind. See, we are a beloved community that has a vision that is CSL Greater Boston is an inclusive community based on love and acceptance that's a healing presence for all through joyful connection, activities, and education. Our mission is a spiritual community that lovingly embraces all races, ages, and abilities, genders, and the celebration of diversity through the practice of science of mind teachings and the principles for the betterment of each individual and the oneness of all. In our purpose, we bring about positive change within individuals and the world by teaching and embodying the science of mind teachings and principles and carrying them out into the world. So we are so grateful that you're here this morning. So wonderful to have you here. And good morning, Ro, great to have you here. So whether you are watching us on Facebook or on YouTube or wherever you are, thank you for being here with us. There is only one. We are here knowing the truth of that, living that in amazing ways. So the first song that we're going to play today is by Lily Miola, and I love this song. It's called Daydream, because that's what it's all about, living in and as the dream.
When we were kids in the backyard, playing astronauts and rock stars, no one told us to stop it, called us unrealistic. Then suddenly you're 18, go to college for your plan B. What you want is too risky, live for weekends and whiskey. We all got these big ideas, one day they're replaced with fear. How did we get here? Darling, don't quit your daydream. It's your life that you're making. It ain't big enough if it doesn't scare the hell out of you. If it makes you nervous, it's probably worth it. Why save it for sleep when you could be living your daydream? 31 waiting tables, she has the voice of an angel, out of money and power. She only sings in the shower. All these things we say we'll get to are shot down by the reasons not to. Darling, don't quit your daydream. It's your life that you're making. It ain't big enough if it doesn't scare the hell out of you. If it makes you nervous, it's it's probably worth it. Why save it for sleep when you could be living your daydream? So scared of failure that we fail to try, turning around before the finish line. Gotta fall for a minute before you can fly. So daydream, it's your life that you're making. It ain't big enough if it doesn't scare the hell out of you. If it makes you nervous, it's probably worth it. Why save it for sleep when you could be living your daydream? Why save it for sleep when you should be living your daydream?
Yes. Why save it for sleep when you can be living your daydream? So that is what we are here to do. We are here to live the life of not just choice, but purpose. We are here to live and enjoy every moment of it. So let us celebrate the gift that we get, that choice, that power, that passion within us. Let us live that in greater ways. And this morning we're going to begin, as we always do, with prayer. And we have the beloved Sonia Hart to do our invocation for us. Good morning, Sonia. Thank you for being here.
Good morning, Greater CSL Greater Boston. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm going to ask you to just get comfortable wherever you are. Let's take a deep breath and recognize that we are in the presence of God. There's only one power, one universal power, and that power is present everywhere. And it is within each and every one of us present here. This power is the source of all life. It is the essence of who I am. It is the essence of who you are. We are all connected to this one power. And we can use this one power to create anything that we desire in life. And it is from this place that I acknowledge and know that vulnerability is a great strength. That it allows us to connect more deeply with ourselves and with each other. It allows us to go deep within and find that place of healing. Vulnerability is a strength, a great strength. It allows us to show up and be authentic, not just for ourselves, but for each other. It allows us to find that sacredness in each and every relationship that we're in. When we are vulnerable, when we allow vulnerability to be a part of who we are and we embrace it for all that it is, we're saying yes to the spirit within. We're saying yes to something that is so great and powerful. When we allow ourselves to be open and to be vulnerable. And so I give thanks. I give thanks for the power within me that shows up as vulnerability. For the power within me that says, by being open, by being broken, I am enough. You are enough. It allows us to take that mask off and be who we really are. And so I give thanks for this. I give thanks for being the face of God and being able to show up as I am. And so I release this word knowing that it is done unto each and every one of us as we believe and accept. And so it is.
And so it is. Thank you so much, Sonia, for that beautiful prayer. Thank you for being with us today.
You're so welcome and thank you for having me.
And I am going to share with you for our reading one of my prayers this morning. But before I do, I just want to say good morning. Good morning to Karen and Chris in Medford, Mass. Happy rainy Sunday. Yes, it is definitely a rainy Sunday here in Rhode Island as well. It's okay. Remember, April showers bring May flowers, and tomorrow's May, so we get to see the flowers, and that's worth it. And Marva from Barbados, peace. I am divinely guided and supplied. Yes, thank you so much, Marva, for being here. Thank you all for watching wherever you are, whenever you're watching this message. Thank you for being a part of this beloved community. And I have a poem for you that's called Power versus Force. Power is inherent in strength, while fear is inborn of force. Power is allowing spirit to flow through me. Force is pushing it away. Power is the overflowing of abundance, while force coerces the way. Power is grace in bloom, while force is a crushing blow. Power unfolds in perfection, while force breaks down the door. Power is a glorious embrace. Force traps and holds without choice. Power sees the internal rewards. Force seeks bigger trophies. Power's opulence is inherent, while force bullies respect. Power glows and excites, and force burns and destroys. Power surges effortlessly. Force pries between to separate. Power grows eternally, while force is scarcity at its core. Power is God's will in motion. Force is one in action. Power rests into life. Force rests from desire. Power is peaceful understanding. Force thrusts its view upon the world. God is powerful. Force is when I do not listen again. So, in this place of letting go of the force, I am knowing that we are in that place of power today, allowing every bit of the good, every bit of that powerful individualized expression that I am, that each one is, that we are stepping into that power, because it's so important to remember that all of that infinite possibility lies within, and that the world needs us to do what is ours to do. So, in that knowing, we're going to listen to this next song, which I love, and it is The Power of One. You know, oftentimes we think, well, what can I do about fill in the blank, whatever the question is? There is something in your heart that you are here for, and you know it, and only you can do it. So let's be empowered in the knowing of what that is.
begins with one, the power of one, joining the hundreds of millions of people believing in one, the power of one. Don't hang around, stand up or sit down and believe we can change the world together. We can change the world together. Oh, 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 oh. What kind of love can conquer disease and change the world? Change the world. What can I do to make poverty history and change the world? Change the world. Let me be the one to start a revolution. Let me sing my song to the people of the world, yeah, to the children of the world. It all begins with one, the power of one, joining the hundreds of millions of people believing in one, the power of one. Don't hang around, stand up or sit down and believe we can change the world together. We can change the world together. Please don't close your eyes. Please don't turn away. Let your voices rise. Put love on display and make a difference now. I believe you and me can make a difference now. One, the power of one, joining the hundreds of millions of people believing in one, the power of one. Don't hang around, stand up or sit down and believe we can change the world together. We can change the world together. We can change the world together. Oh, oh, it all begins with
Yes, you and me can make it better with the power of one. Because there is only one, and wherever we are in that one. And I am so grateful to have each one of you with me. Thank you. Good morning, Nancy. Wonderful to have you here as well. You know, I'd love to hear comments. We'd love to hear from you. Know that we are here on, CSL Greater Boston is here to uplift and be one in this amazing world. And no better way to prove it than this morning. As I said, we've got Sonia from Barbados and our speaker, who I love. Our person giving our message this morning is a dear friend, and I'm blessed to say that. This woman is such a giver of herself, of the light that is divine. Reverend Laura's devotion to serve as an instrument of change in a way shower is the intention for all that she is and for her service to life. Inspirational speaker, spiritual teacher, and guide, Reverend Laura founded the Woman of Power movement in 2022, reaching and serving women globally with new thought teachings to enhance and impact self mastery, personal potential, and prosperous living. Reverend Laura teaches the power of practical spirituality for everyday living and speaks for communities, organizations, businesses on spiritual practices for the divine feminine leadership. She is blessed and grateful to, she said she's blessed and grateful to be here today. Don't mean that we're blessed for it. But I also want to say that she is a tremendous musician. She and her beloved, her husband Jason, is all it's infinity, and we're going to be hearing a song from them later on. She is gifted in so many ways. She has had her own podcasts for years, and she is someone that gives of herself in an amazing way. Oftentimes you talk about selfless people. She is someone who has given everything she had to being what spirit would have her be. And I admire that so much about her. She currently works with people in Africa to help them realize their own power as women of power, and her ministry is a beautiful thing to behold. So I am so grateful in this moment of power and possibility to bring my friend and beautiful minister, Reverend Laura Topper. Thank you so much for being here with us. You are such a gift, and I'm grateful to have you here.
Oh my word, I'm the grateful one. I feel really honored and blessed and excited to be here, Reverend Gina and Sonia and everybody that's joining right now for this beautiful community and the energy that you're creating, knowing that we're one, and people tuning in here from around the world. So thank you.
Power and possibility.
I'm excited to share. Let me put this down a little bit. It looks a bit like the mic is on. So yes, welcome everybody. Welcome here. What a great thing to be here, speaking, sharing, and just being here today with this entity of a message: vulnerability, power, and possibilities. Oh, it's like making a cake. Let's put these three into the cake and see what comes out. So we're going to see what comes out of this cake and feel into this right now. And I think a really great place for me to begin is with this. I was given this when I became a practitioner in 2017. I don't know if you can read this. It says, dream. If you can dream it, you can do it. Dream. And this is with me. It's been with me ever since, in my room here, near me, close to me. If you can dream it, you can do it. Dream. And I wanted to share about this and go deep into this because the two songs have just been so perfect. Why save it for sleep when you can be living, could be living your daydream? Why save it for sleep? Well, I'm going to talk about that also. Why save it for sleep? And we can change the world right here and right now. We can change our world right here and right now. And that's what we're going to do in this moment. I saw on Instagram this morning, the perfect thing popped up on Instagram. It was a quote by Joan Rivers that said, life doesn't get any better than this. I want to tell you something. Life doesn't get any better than this. We get better. Whoo, that really, it's like, okay, that's another way of hearing it, of hearing as I believe it to be, so it is. As I think it, so it is. As I think my world is, so it is. Life doesn't get any better. We get better. we get better at it, at involving ourselves in the spiritual practices and these glorious opportunities that we have to grow and expand and evolve. We're all always evolving anyway, so we may as well do it in a really powerful way and harness that power that we have, that I know of as the divine, whatever we choose to call this creative intelligence and the law that is working 24/7. It doesn't go to sleep. It's always happening and responding to our beingness and our container of how we bring ourselves into this life. We are always being heard, even if we don't think we are. We are. We truly are. So if you can dream it, you can do it. Oh, this takes me back to that childlike energy of magical kind of fairies and miracles, and anything is possible. It's really amazing. You know, I live here by the beach, really literally opposite the beach. And often I go down onto the beach and there are young families and children running around. And I think to myself, and they're up to all these things and just no fear, jumping off of the groins and, you know, chucking stones into the sea and just being free and playing. And where did we lose that sense, or where did sometimes I ask myself, where have I lost that sense of playfulness? Because I believe that as a 58-year-old, life is like this. And I have to retrain myself to open up to realizing and knowing that life is this, it's infinite possibilities. And yet there can be a tendency to come away from that childlike playfulness and knowing that all in God, all is possible. I mean, I say it all the time, and in treatment, I'm saying it. In God, all is possible. But do I really believe that? And if I do, to what degree do I believe it? Where can I play with that and push the boundaries? Okay, in God, all is possible. Let's test this. And as Reverend Gina said at the very beginning, beautiful Reverend Gina, who introduced the mission and vision and purpose and what science of mind really is. It is a philosophy. It is a deep dive into all religions, faiths, ways of being in this life, and spirituality. And in knowing that there is a common thread, and that is love. And that is that we are really dealing with something that we're dealing with ourselves when we deal with the divine. So did you know that there are, and I was told this about 10 years ago, there'd been a study in Oxford University here in the UK. They put a whole kind of cohort of students through this study of how many ways are there to do the washing up. And it came out with this group, there were over 275 ways to do the washing up. Well, I'd never thought about that before, because I thought, why would I think about that? And yet, when I really did start feeling into that, okay, so there are 275 ways that we know of in this one study to do the washing up. That could mean there are over 275 ways to make a bed, or to clean our teeth, or to show love. There are so many different ways of being with the one thing that we are choosing to be on a moment by moment basis. There's a quote that I learned in ministerial education, and it was in a philosophy class. And I loved those classes because we looked back at the Greek philosophers of the early Greek philosophers. And there was one called Heraclitus, and he sat and looked at fire for hours and hours and hours. And he came up with this knowing that this fire is the fire of life. And that as this fire, all is known. He called it the logos. Everything is known as the one in this fire. And he wrote many, they were called fragments. And they were kind of like affirmations of the time. And one of them that he wrote was, it is into the same river twice. It is not possible to step. It's not possible to step into the same river twice. A little bit like there are 275 ways to do the washing up. There are infinite ways to show love and to be love for ourselves and our lives. And I'm asking, how could it be to be the walking experiment? If science of mind is based on science and philosophy and religion and spirituality, then we're being invited to be that spiritual experimenter for our lives and to test these principles, not just to accept them, not just to say, yes, somebody said it and so it's true, to actually be the walking kind of template and say, yeah, I'm going to be the one that proves it. I'm going to prove this, not for anybody else, not to keep someone else happy, our parents in our minds, or our children, or our partners, or our friends, or our work colleagues, or our spiritual community, to actually be bold enough and vulnerable enough to say, I'm going to test this out for me. I'm going to prove these principles for my life. And I'm going to slowly, step by step, breath by breath, heartbeat by heartbeat, see how they work and work with them and let them work with me. Allow them, be open, be vulnerable. I think this is the first key piece, is this willingness to open our hearts, to know that in God and as God, all is possible. And then to say, yes, I'm willing to test this out, to be the living experiment. And this means being vulnerable. This means laying our hearts on the line and saying, I'm prepared to put aside everything I thought I knew. I'm prepared to do it again. And why not? Because I know that in every moment, there is this infinite possibility to do it again. There are infinite ways of doing it in the moment. And yet we get caught up in a loop of how it was is how it is. And that because how it was is how it is, I'm not going to go to how it could be. How it was is how it is. And so because of that, I'm just staying here. I'm not going to take that leap of faith. 3 years ago, when I found myself, and I'm taking full responsibility for this, and I have done, I found myself sitting in the car next to my beloved Jason. At that time, we weren't married, and yet we were. You know what I mean? And yet we were sitting there in the car next to each other. Picture this. Well, maybe not too deeply, but just get the vibe of this. Sitting there in the car. The car, thank goodness, was an estate car, and it was filled with every single possession that we had. And as filled as the car was as empty as our wallets were. And we were sitting there together, not having a home of our own. And we looked at each other. I was in the passenger seat, he was in the driver's seat. And we were stationary because we'd just come out of somewhere that we were living. And we looked at each other and we both said together, now what? Where do we go? Do we get to the end of the road and go left, or do we go right? We were both flummoxed. And I said, I know that by tonight, we may think that we haven't got anywhere to stay, and yet I am claiming it, and I know it. I know that by tonight we will be safe and there will be a home for us, and it will be fine. And this was in the midst of COVID. And then he had an idea to make a call about 3 hours later, an inspired idea, as we were sitting by that point in a field, in nature, open heart, no fear. And an idea of a call came through. And by that night, we were safe. We were in a home. It wasn't the place that we would have really loved to have been in. And yet we were both so excited to be there, to be safe, and to be in a home. And from that moment onwards, we both will individually, I say this for myself, I made a vow that my life was only going to increasingly get better and better and better, and that I would open up to really, really using these practices and testing them. If this didn't work, try it another way. If that didn't work, add something else in. Do the forgiveness work. Release what isn't wanted. Open up to the new, and to really use this, because this was with me in one of my 8 bags. If you can dream it, you can do it. And it's often in those times when everything's going seemingly well that we can kind of put the spiritual practice on hold, or even put our dreams on hold. And yet I'm kind of challenging me and you now to say, what if we could build such a deep practice for ourselves, that non-negotiable, where we open up to the possibilities that we don't even know that could be here, that are already here, that we catch that vision for our lives, and to live into that vision, and knowing that there will be times when we are vulnerable. And that is a part of the adventure as well, because we are being proved. As we prove it, we are being proved. Do you know that in the Bible, the word prove is written in there between, I mean, I've looked this up a few times, and every time I get a different answer. It's kind of between 70 and 100 times, I suppose, depending on which version. The word prove is written in there. We are being invited to prove God, to know God, to lean into God, not run away from, thinking in our humanness that we have the answers, because those answers will be a limited view of our lives. Thomas Troward, who was, is practically, the one of the major teachers of or inputs into the religious science, philosophy, science of mind and spirit. The textbook is jam-packed with Thomas Troward. We can tell where it's Thomas Troward if we read that book, where it's Thomas Troward, where it's Emma Curtis Hopkins, where it's Emerson. We get into the flow. And I know that when I'm reading about law and order, I'm reading the words of Troward. And Troward was a judge. He lived in India and he was from the UK. And with all of his teachings and all of his unravelings, he knew there was a law. This wasn't a political law, the government's law, the law of life, the creative law, that God inspired that creative law. So the law is like, it does as we believe. We are planting and seeding our words, our thoughts, our values, our intentions into the law. And he had one student. That student was called Genevieve Bertrand, and she wrote a book called Your Invisible Power, which I have purchased and I'm reading it on Kindle, and it's beautiful. And she talks about Troward all of the time, just as Holmes does, Ernest Holmes. He knew, Ernest Holmes, when it comes to power, he knew that everything that lives behind everything, the energy of all of that is the law, and that we're one with the law. We can't get away from it. It's not something that's just goes to sleep at night. It's 24/7. It's there all the time. So why not use that power and open up to the possibilities and be vulnerable? That song at the beginning, I love that song. It said, why wait until why keep it in your sleep? Why not use it? Why bring your daydream into life? And yet I know that what I do as I go to sleep is really, really, really powerful. The power of visualization. And I don't think we talk enough about visualization here in general, throughout the communities of Centers for Spiritual Living. I'm a great fan of visualization. I know that for Michael Beckwith and the four kingdoms of awareness of consciousness, that visualization is something that can be used as we're kind of getting into this philosophy or wanting to change our lives. And yet we are invited to visualize it differently, to see it differently. There's a power in that. Even when we are open to the vision, we then can visualize that vision and call it in and use the power of this one mind, the power of the mind, which is not separate from you or me or anything, or Reverend Gina or Sonia or any of us here. It's one thing that's happening, and we can use it. As Ernest Holmes uses this word, specialize, and so does Genevieve Berrond in her book. We specialize it. I love that. And we use it. We become the living idea of the divine. We allow ourselves to surrender to what is already here and open up to receiving, accepting, and receiving it. Whether we're doing the washing up, or whether we're planning a huge kind of momentous ministry or movement or business or whatever it is, we get to use God. We allow God to use us. We're given the idea, and we believe the idea, that there's not enough and we're not good enough and there's limitation and there's lack. That's an idea that we choose as a seed in our own mind, as a seed that we nurture in our own minds. And I'm inviting us right here and now to ditch that idea and to get back to basics and know that in the mind of God, all is possible right now. Your dream, your idea is as valid now as it ever will be. When I was sitting in that car, I had no idea I'd be here on this screen right now. And I had to journey quite an adventure for that to happen. And yet being prepared to be vulnerable and say yes, and to learn from those seeming mistakes and to keep going and keep going with your dream. That's when God reaches back and gives back. When we reach out, when we ask, when we know, God reaches back and the way is made clear. Those crooked ways are made clear for us. So we work with the divine. It's not something separate. We open our hearts, we visualize, use spiritual mind treatment, and create a container of faith, knowing that as we open up and expand to what is really here for us to be and to do right now in our lives, that the law is always, always saying yes. I've started tuning into Wayne Dyer. Love Wayne Dyer. And he says, one of his quotes, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. We've heard this so many times. In the Talmud, we don't see things as they are. We see things as we are. Emerson, we become what we think about most of the time. And here we go. A Greek philosopher. It's not events that disturb our minds, but how often we think of those events. So we are the ones that are at power right here and right now. And we are the ones that can open up to the possibilities that God already knows of who we are and what is ours to do and how we are here to be. We believe in science of mind that we have control of conditions through the power of the one mind. So we use God. We're always being invited to use and to prove to ourselves. And this is an eternal journey. So we kindly are kind to ourselves. We're gentle with ourselves. And each moment we open up to the infinite possibilities, knowing that we are loved. So I will just close here, knowing that as Jesus says, and as Ernest Holmes quotes quite regularly, it is done unto us as we believe, and that also we can be transformed by the renewal of our minds. So, my kind of question for us, for you, for me, for each of us right now is dare to dream. What is that dream? What feels impossible? What feels, oh, that could never happen? If that is the feeling, then that is that's seeded in your heart. Yes, if you can dream it, you can do it. And I know that as you have faith and belief in that dream and in yourself and the faith of the divine, then everything in the mind of God is possible right here and right now. Thank you. And so the affirmation for this week for Center for Spiritual Living Greater Boston, I'm inviting us to take this into our hearts and to say this out loud. There's a power in speaking out loud. I step into the power and possibility that vulnerability brings. I step into the power and possibility that vulnerability brings. Let's take this forwards with us in our hearts, moment by moment, for the coming week.
Thank you so much, Reverend Laura. It was a beautiful message. And, thank you. And yours, you didn't know those songs until today. And it's just one of those things that your message fit right into the music. And it just always works that way. Whether it be the
Yeah.
readings, the music, it always comes together because there is only one. And thank you so much for sharing your heartfelt story. And I remember walking through that with you 3 years ago, and your level of faith as you walked through the most difficult time I could even imagine, literally having nowhere to be. And then each step was a step up. Each step was a step up as you went through ministerial school, knowing that everything you needed would be provided somehow, some way. And it was. And here you are today, and your life has transformed. So I thank you for that. And yes, that book, Your Invisible Power by Genevieve, is an amazing book. So, we have our teachings and we have our classes. And actually, we're starting a foundations class. And, I encourage people, I'm going to go into our announcements in just a couple of minutes. But thank you so much for, really going back and teaching us a little bit about our roots as well. So thank you. We'll see you in a little bit for prayer. What a gift it is to be here in community together and, receiving powerful messages, whether you're in person together or online, there's only one. So we are in this oneness together. It's all vibration. So we are here together. And I am so grateful that you're here with us. We are at that time now, the law of circulation. Giving activates receiving. So what we give out must come back in amazing ways. And if you are spiritually fed by CSL Greater Boston, know that you can go to PayPal. We have PayPal, or you could go to Venmo, or even send a check, whatever's easier for you. Know that we are here because of people like you. We have the opportunity to reach out to more and more because of what you give, and it allows us to have platform to speak from in greater ways and expand. We're looking forward to that space that we are in every week, and there's so much that's being, that's it's unfolding. We are a center that definitely believes in visioning. We vision every Monday, and we do have that vision of knowing that CSL Greater Boston actually, this is our vision board to give you some idea. So we actually do. We vision and we have a vision board. And we are in a place of knowing that there is so much good here that we share with the world. We share it with Barbados as we're beginning our foundations class. And that is actually going to be on it happens it's going to be on Saturdays. The slide isn't ready yet, so you'll see the slide next week, and it'll also be in our newsletter. But it's going to be on Saturday, May 13th. Is going to be the first class, and it is going to be at 3:30 in the afternoon. I hope you can join us. Any questions, reach out to me. It's Gina at cslboston.org is my email. Reach out to me and feel anytime. And I'm very excited, and I want to share that we have a workshop today, Calling in Love. Reverend Shari is going to be hosting this amazing workshop. You know, we are in this place. If you know anyone that is looking for that right and perfect person, or just more love in their life, because remember, every relationship is about love, whether it's friendships or otherwise, but letting more love in. And it's today, 1 o'clock Eastern time. And you can reach out to me again, it's on the bottom here, Gina at cslboston.org, and I can get you a link. Or if you have our newsletter, if you click on that picture, it'll bring you right there. So please join our email list. We send out once a week. We don't send you all kinds of stuff, but know that you this way you can stay on top of what's going on. So it is cslboston.org is our website, and you can take a look and just click on and sign up for our newsletter. Of course, we have our Thursday Sacred Circle at 7. Every week, it's a new spiritual leader, a different spiritual leader. This past week was incredible. The topic was triggers, and it was so good we're doing it again. Not this week, but the following week. Every week is a different topic and different leaders, and it's always a wonderful time of community. But I got ahead of myself, and I want us to share in our sacred giving affirmation. Please say this aloud with me. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I circulate. And so it is. There's just so much good. So no, yes, we have Calling in Love workshop. We also have another workshop that's coming up next month. It's Sunday, May 21st, and that's going to be my workshop on my book, Your Journey to Happiness. It's a 10-step guide to get you from where you are to where you choose to be. So it's keeping you in that place of joy and love, and it helps with creating healthy boundaries, a healthy self image. You know, it's a wonderful opportunity to stay on that chosen path. So we'd love to have you. And if you have any questions, reach out by all means. You know, we have so much good here at CSL Greater Boston, and I am so grateful that you've taken this time to join us for that. So we are going to pray because that's what we always do. Before we close up, we have another song as well. And that's final song. I invite you to stay tuned because it is Reverend Laura's song, and it is a wonderful song. Tell us how that came to be, the final song.
Oh, well, that was in the midst of COVID, and we'd made the song in 2018. And then I just thought, you know what? It's great seeing all my friends online and everything. I want to dance. I want to get this song to be a dance song. So I just invited everyone I knew. Well, not everyone, but the women that I thought would say yes, and they did. And that's how the video came along. The song was there before that, and it's just a song that has inspired me to know that, yes, as Edwene Gaines, Reverend Edwene Gaines claimed, she is the woman of power. We're all women of power.
Yes, yes.
That's the message
So
of the song.
knowing that power, I invite you to, if you can, ground us in that truth of our final affirmative prayer. So if you can do our final prayer, and then we will go into that powerful song and message.
That is perfect. Let's do this, knowing this prayer as power and possibilities and the dream unfolding and the vulnerability that I know God knows is already as love. And so I'm inviting myself and us to be with this, to close our eyes for a few moments here, taking a breath in and being with this breath, exhaling out, as I know that there is one power presence here right now. This one thing that I know is this invisible, ineffable essence of all life. So many names: Goddess, God, love, creative intelligence, divine wisdom, the ultimate. It is the one thing that is the idea of all of this life. It is the one thing that sets in motion this idea of all life, that shows up in so many different ways. And so I know it as I look at the sea, as I look at the sky, as I look at the stars at night. Beyond my human mind, this one thing is doing things and creating things and ideaing things into life that, I may think are impossible, and yet they are here. It is all possible in the mind of God. And as I know this, I know I am this, of course. I'm unified as this, whole, perfect, and complete as God is, I am. So as I open my heart to this knowing, accepting this, I lift in my mental equivalent. I know that right here and now all is possible as my life. And so as I see this and know this and feel this, I get into the feeling of this oneness, that here and now on this call, here and now as this celebration is here, as Reverend Gina and Sonia put forward Center for Spiritual Living Greater Boston, that this is a possibility. Choosing and deciding to be here, to be woven in to the love that is here. And I realize that this love is infinite, it is immense. And that as love, I know all is possible. So as I open my heart to the greatness of this love, I open my heart and my mind to the possibilities that are here right now. As me, as Reverend Gina, as Sonia, as each and every one listening, as each and every one not listening or viewing, I speak my word, knowing this truth, knowing that in God, as God, all is possible. And so the great divine idea of life comes through right now. I speak in the I as I know that there is only one. And as I speak as this one, I know that this is for each of us right now. That the possibilities that I may feel sometimes are impossible, where I may think that fear comes in, or I feel scared, or that I'm not enough, or don't have the right skills or knowledge or tools or blah, 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 whatever it is, I know that this is not true in the mind of God, in the mind of the divine, this goddess, God, love, this one thing, all is possible. So I see this great vision unfolding as my life, as each of our lives. I see that we tap in to the soul, we tap into the spirit, that this power that is unchangeable is as I am, and it is as each of us are right here and right now. Putting aside any idea that this cannot be, I know that this truly is, as I know that this is the one truth of the divine, life affirming, all giving, all goodness. As God involves itself into my life, into each of our lives, I know that I and you and each of us become that great spiritual detective explorer, experimenter, taking on board these practices, being willing to be vulnerable and saying yes to the greater vision for our lives. And I know that CSL Greater Boston is such a beacon of light, the entity of this, as it brings itself forward with the beautiful classes and teachings and opportunities and prayer partnerships and ministering from Reverend Gina. I know that this center is blessed, as I know that each and every one of us are. So I let this go with gratitude in my heart for this demonstration, knowing that God is here, that the law is always saying yes. And I say yes, letting it be. And so it is. And now it is. And love it is.
And so it is. Thank you so much, Reverend Laura, for being here with us, and
Thank
Sonia
you.
for sharing your prayer as well. Thank you, each one, for being in this place of knowing that power and possibility with us. And now let us go out with a dance. May we walk into this week dancing into this new week
Oh,
in amazing ways. Be the joy that you are. You know, each one is that infinite power. Let's be it. Let's shine. Blessings and love. Namaste.
I'm laying down the stones. I'm ready to let go.
to receive. Here to be my divinity, ready to believe. Here to be your divinity, open to receive. Here to be your divinity, ready to believe.